Cheryl Swoopes has been missing people. She is Mia, and they have an APB out for her. If you see Cheryl Swoopes, she talked a lot a few months ago about the Indiana Fever and the locker room environment, how people didn't want to play there and wanted to leave. She is completely losing it. She stood tall, puffed out her chest, and declared confidently that Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever couldn't land top free agents. Fast forward to the present, and guess what? Indiana just pulled off one of the best free agencies. There are a lot of other things going on, and players are saying things like, this isn't where I want to be over there, and there's a lot of new going around there. So you have players who are very important on this Indiana Fever team. Meanwhile, Cheryl is out here looking like the human equivalent of a broken Magic 8-ball. All wrong, all the time. Someone check on her, because it's obvious Indiana just stole her last bit of credibility. They say, I want this where I want to be. Let's go back in time. Yeah, Cheryl Swoopes is a Hall of Famer and a legend of the game, but now she's just working overtime hours as a full-time hater, miss. I've heard it all said aloud. The Fever would never attract top-tier talent because of locker room issues, but here we are. The contracts are signed, the ink is dry, and Indiana just built a super team. Okay, hold on. Let me go to Indeed. Stephanie White said, if you see Cheryl Swoopes, tell her it's okay to come out and talk and say, man, you were wrong, it's okay. I can imagine Cheryl scrolling through her phone thinking, no way these players picked Indiana, but surprise, Natasha Howard, DeWanna Bonner, Sophie Cunningham, and even Asia Wilson's. Cheryl has been nowhere to be found, and despite everything she did, she has a lot of crow to eat. I spoke with Sydney Colson today about her decision to sign with Indiana, and she explained that Kelsey Mitchell was the first person she contacted because they had built a onto playing O for the previous 3 years. She also mentioned that she had heard positive things about Caitlin Clark from her Aces teammate Kate Martin, which made the decision simple. Colson's best friend is in the Fever. They didn't just win free agency, they absolutely cooked it. Let's watch the video. The phenom herself, Caitlin Clark, and her longtime friend, Kelsey Mitchell, were the exact targets of two players that Swoopes targeted a few months ago. The twist is that it was Cheryl Swoopes who said Caitlin Clark would require years to get used to the WNBA years. In reality, Clark is out here dropping 40 like it's casual cardio, while Cheryl's predictions state that you age like fine milk. Would you consider each of those 3 seasons as dominant seasons for yourself? No, I can, bro. Cheryl Swoopes is willing to lie about her own career before acknowledging that Caitlin is currently dominating it. Hating on Caitlin Clark feels like an Olympic sport, and Cheryl Swoopes is likely sweeping the podium, taking home gold, silver, and bronze. She's standing there looking salty, and the national anthem is playing in the background. Oh, Caitlin won't translate to the WNBA. Tell that to Indiana, who is out there gathering elite talent as if they're putting together the event. First, Caitlin Clark isn't just adapting, she's thriving, and the Fever, they're thriving. Not only that, but players who will be free agents next year are saying things like, this isn't where I want to be, and let's not fool ourselves. The real reason some of these WNBA veterans and so-called legends can't stand Caitlin Clark is because she didn't wait in line or politely tap them on the shoulder to ask if it was okay to shine. Instead, she walked in and broke 62 records in the process. This is why Cheryl Swoopes might want to skip this one. Caitlin Clark didn't need anyone's permission to become the face of women's basketball. She has more global recognition than half the league combined, and that's not her fault. Her rookie WNBA season loved all the fans and elevated the entire sport into global consciousness, and oh, does that burn them up inside the Indiana Fever. I can't help but laugh at the fans and people online and the media commentators who said that nobody wanted to play in Indiana because that doesn't make sense. Cheryl Swoopes, Angel Reese, Asia Wilson, and the entire anti-Caitlin Clark fan club will have to put up with that because while they're busy hating Caitlin, she's out there stacking accolades, selling out arenas, and making the Indiana Fever the hottest ticket in town. Let's take a moment to appreciate that the Indiana Fever, yes, the team that was once considered a WNBA afterthought, is now the team that everyone wants to play for. Many people claim that Caitlin Clark moves the needle, but in reality, she is the needle and dictates. We all know what she has done on the floor. It's history, right? But off the floor, my goodness, what happened to the players who don't want to travel to Indiana? Were you speaking to the ghosts of teams that have already passed because the real players who matter are signing with the Fever like it's the VIP area at an exclusive club? Or did she really think Caitlin Clark would have to plead with people to join her? It got even worse when a game that Cheryl Swoopes was calling for the Dallas Wings, the commentator was praising Caitlin Clark for playing Cheryl S.W. silently for 60 seconds without even wanting to address it. And it got so bad that after the Chicago Sky defeated the Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark was removed from the broadcast. Someone should check on Cheryl because she's obviously stuck in 2002 when the Fever was dragging their roster through mediocrity as if it were a team-building exercise. As if it were a team-building exercise. Time has changed this. When she joined the Indiana Fever, Tom McCatching said, it's going to be Caitlin Clark, flash show, it's going to be fantastic, playing with the point guard, like you mentioned, that have good vision on the court, because that's like, as soon as she gets the ball in her hand, she throws it up because she already sees the person down the court before she even gets the ball in her hand. The Indiana Fever are stacked with Natasha Howard, a champion defensive beast and certified bucket getter. DeWanna Bonner, a 6'4", in-walking mismatch elite scorer and member of the NBA's elite, is someone I like and I love about her vision on the court. I can't wait to catch all those passes and give her all the shit that she needs. And guess what? She just went to Twitter war with all the Fever critics, Sophie Cunningham, and she's bringing the spice, the swagger, and enough trash talk to rattle an ENT arena. Who does she want to play with? Why does everyone hate Caitlin Clark? I don't think that. She's a G, and I haven't really met her, but over the weekend we kind of joked around a little. She's a lovely person, and I think she's handling pressure really well. She's doing a lot of amazing things for women's basketball, and I'm a fan, so even if she's not making a lot of big minutes, Sydney Colson is about to transform the locker room into the most enjoyable, high-energy vibe the Fever has ever had, has chemistry through the roof. Do we see a pattern here? They all decided to play with the Fab Four, which consists of Caitlin, Aaliyah, Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Lexi Hull, and Aaliyah. While Cheryl Swoopes is busy writing her next bad take, the Indiana Fever are out here creating a dynasty. Perhaps it's time someone gave Cheryl some glasses, because she might not even be discussing the Fever. Instead, she might be discussing the Las Vegas Aces, the Chicago Sky, or the Connecticut Sun, all of which are collapsing before our very eyes. Fever is here, and they're not just playing, they are dominating. I'm thrilled, and I agree with a lot of the moves the Indiana Fever have made. I've supported every single trade and acquisition the team has made, and I just wanted to say that the fact that they've gone out and acquired these fantastic players like Natasha Howard, Deanna Boner, and Sophie Cunningham shows that they think Caitlin Clark is great. They're on board with the Caitlin Clark vision right now. And it just makes me happy, because they're treating Caitlin Clark like a superstar who is good right now rather than a rookie who will be good in 10 years. Cheryl Swoopes thought she was revealing some groundbreaking information on the Gills Arena podcast, but all she revealed was her own credibility. Or what's left of it, honestly. Are we even surprised anymore? Cheryl's out there spitting takes like she works part-time, and if there were a Hall of Fame for negative opinions, she would be chosen unanimously on the first ballot. By the way, every single story about the Fever is about them signing Sophie Cunningham, who they dislike, and how they love DeWanna Bonner. Like, these people, they kept saying that we have real people working for networks saying that DeWanna Bonner will never sign for the Fever for obvious reasons, and I wondered what those obvious reasons are. What's next, players? Will she say that Angel Reese is the league's best player and that Caitlin Clark isn't a generational talent? At this point, you can't trust Cheryl's opinions. She could tell me that everything is fine and I'd have to double check. The Indiana Fever aren't just looking like a legitimate squad with all these free agent signings, they're looking like the blueprint. The funniest part is that the players who Cheryl said with confidence that they wouldn't touch Indiana with a 10-foot pole are now packing their bags, asking where they can sign. See, I'm really trying not to lose it. I can't handle much more. I just said, what did I say the other day? Another bomb Sunday? I said, this isn't it, you know? I can't wait to see what the next bomb would be. I had no idea that this would be the bomb. Stephanie White isn't playing fair. Let's talk about Cheryl's most recent masterpiece of a bad take, which hypes up A'ja Wilson as though she's Michael's second coming. It's almost adorable, but the Las Vegas Aces are disintegrating more quickly than Angel Reese's jump shot mechanics. Sydney Coulson was signed by the Indiana Fever, and let's face it, Sydney was the lifeblood of that Aces locker room. In fact, half of the locker room is gone, so it's not just Sydney. A'ja is handling it the only way she knows how, posting tweets that she's crying and hoping that we'll all forget that her team's chemistry is disintegrating like a badly baked cake. Caitlin Clark is the franchise's focal point, and now Sydney Coulson, A'ja's best friend, is playing for Indiana. The drama is like a reality TV show, except A'ja isn't even the main character anymore. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is just hanging out and preparing to take over the entire league. The Indiana Fever are officially contenders for the title every day, and today it's Miss DeWanna Bonner. Next time, they'll be WNBA All-Star and WNBA champion. In this game, a veteran can pretty much do it all. He can also enforce a nasty defense. If I go on, we have a new starting five. Caitlin at number 1, Kelsey at number 2, DeWanna Bonner at number 3, Natasha Howard at number 4, and Aaliyah Boston at number 5. As it stands, Cheryl Swoopes is bound for the fall of the century when she finally understands that the Indiana Fever are not just playoff contenders, but champions. And when Caitlin Clark wins MVP in her second season, the excuses she will make, oh, it will be world-class delusion first. Cheryl Caitlin Clark couldn't make it in the old WNBA because nothing says elite basketball like running around in baggy shorts, shooting bricks from mid-range, and playing defense like you're allergic to effort. Ask Angel Reese, and it doesn't make any sense at all. After all, who wouldn't want to play in Indiana, where arenas are sold out and television viewership is at its highest, alongside a player who was in the top 3